Hi guys, my name is JTurn, you can call me Jake, everybody does, and I've been doing daily videos throughout England's second lockdown, and I thought that today I would talk to you about something that I find quite relevant to right now, and that is how I finish all of the massivest games that I play. I noticed what was the first game I noticed it on? I feel like it might have been Horizon Zero Dawn. I found that like I played so many sandboxes that I would just reach a point in which I just lost direction and interest, right? Like a lot of sandbox games have all started to feel the same. They've all started to like, you know, mesh together. They all follow the same kind of template, and they are always just like full to the brim of stuff. Just stuff, right? And you know, you might well be like me, that eventually you pick up so much of that stuff that you don't know what part of it to do next. You don't know, you know, what side quest to go to when you're looking at your little quest list, and you just sort of think, well, you lose interest. Like, oh, I can't be bothered. And then you just sort of stop going back to the game because you forget what it was you were actually doing because you're only doing all the silly little things. Well, I have put together three foolproof ways to get around that feeling, at least that work for me. Like ones that work for me, right? But I'm not, you know, sorry, I'm checking myself in the little viewfinder there. My hat was wonky. If these don't work for you, just tell me what your methods are, or just, you know, have fun not finishing your games. So the very first thing that I've learned to do that I think is the most important part of the whole process is to recognize when I'm starting to get that big game fatigue, right? Like, am I losing direction? Am I losing interest? Am I suddenly not really feeling it? Like, I feel like it's a feeling that you know in yourself when you know it, but like that fatigue that's setting in, like, am I becoming disinterested? Like, is this game not really hitting it for me anymore? And for me, it's like, normally this happens in a game when I like start completing the map objectives. Like I'm just, because at that point you're just walking around, and sometimes that really doesn't do it for me. So in Horizon Zero Dawn, I was doing like the, you know, clearing out camps and stuff like that, and doing the hunts and thinking like, oh no, I sort of don't care about any of this stuff. And I've forgotten what it is to care about the main thing. And then once you've done that, you can move on to the next thing, which is ditch all non-essential content, right? Just stop doing it. Don't do it anymore. You need to toss up the fact that like, if you know you're getting fatigued with the game, you've only got so much more time left with it until you're bored of it. And so by my logic, that leads me to think like, if I'm only gonna do some of the rest of this game, it may as well be the main story. It may as well be like the essential stuff, right? And so Horizon Zero Dawn, again, I keep going back to that because this was the first time I really consciously did this, was I was like, right, main story missions only. And then I feel like I would be missing out if I didn't do the side missions or anything like that. But I know in my head, I've only got so much time left with this game, and if I'm gonna miss out on something, I would rather it not be the main story of the game, right? Because at least then I can say that I finished it, because I finished the story, I completed it. And you know what? Every game I've done this with so far, just decided like, right, I'm getting wobbly on this now, I'm only gonna do the story missions. More often than not, it has made that game a significantly better experience. Significantly better. Because then it turns like big, bloated, messy games into like these tight, concise, story-driven games. Witcher 3 was another one I did. Obviously, that game is so big and easy to get lost in. I just found myself kind of disconnecting with it. Like, I didn't really care about what was going on. So then I was like, right, story missions only, like stick to them. And then you start to like get more invested in the characters and in the pacing and in what's actually going on. And it just makes it so much better. Horizon Zero Dawn as well then became one of my favourite games of that year because of the story and how much I like the world building and stuff. Most of which the main story takes you through and talks you through. Like, if you ignore everything else that's going on the map, and I know that seems wasteful, but if you really love the game, you have plenty of time for that after the main story. But if you just focus on the main story of a really big and bloated game, it becomes less big and bloated, and it starts to become a bit more fun and linear. which leads me on to the last thing that I do, and that's that I make sure I take breaks to play either super small games like indie games or just very linear ones. I do really enjoy playing the Uncharted games, and I know they're not for everyone. Some people just call them like interactive movies, and you know what? Maybe, but that's fun. That's fun. Not every game needs to have an open map. I think that the thought process that games need to be 80-hour monsters or they're not worth your money is what has put us into this situation of every other game being like a Skyrim or Witcher 3 knockoff, right? Like explore the map, expand the map, and craftables and stuff like that. Like all games are becoming kind of skin changes of the same kind of concept. And I think that the fact that they have to be so big, they have to be so full, they have to be so time consuming is what gets us there. But Uncharted is fun, right? Like smaller games. A game doesn't have to be a sandbox to be good. It doesn't have to be a grindy JRPG to be good. And I think that going back to games that are more linear, like Uncharted, for me, like gets more of like a button press dopamine response, right? It's like more satisfying to play because you're getting more direct progress out of it. I guess Tomb Raider as well to some extent. Spiritfarer was that for me recently, like just such a nice condensed little experience. And when you go back to games of that size, you realise that there's no wasted space. There's no like bloat, that's it. There's no bloat. You can just really enjoy what it is for all the time you spend with it. You're not having to necessarily like grind out something in a sandbox like collecting materials because it seems like that's what you need to do to have fun in that sandbox. Like, no, get rid of all that guff, honestly. Like, the next time you are feeling a little bit lost in a very big game, I highly suggest that you just start focusing only on story-specific, like the compulsory content, right? And the reason I say this is relevant earlier on in the video is that I have found this in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So I've started now I'm still having lots of fun with it because I've got good at noticing when these feelings about a game are beginning to come up, right? I can notice those little shoots coming out the ground. I can see them growing up and I know that it's gonna happen soonish. And so now I'm like, right, story missions only, because I really like the story of this game. I really like the characters, and so I want to finish it. And also, probably gonna be buying Cyberpunk soon, and I don't wanna just like drop Assassin's Creed Valhalla like a hot brick and never go back to it again because I like the story, I like the characters. So that is what I'm going to focus on. You know, at first, when I first started playing the game, I was like, yeah, let's go to all the vantage points and like expand all the map and complete some of the zone. No, stop that. Now it's story only, which seems to be taking me to a lot of these places anyway. I know for a fact I'm going to get a really great experience out of the game, even if I don't do all of the guff like, you know, secrets and treasures and whatever. Yeah, that's kind of my method of, and since I've started doing it, honestly, like I finish all the games I play. Actually, as well as the small games and the linear games, I also like playing multiplayer games for just like a quick boop, dopamine button press when I need some gaming, like Apex Legends, Spellbreak, sometimes Overwatch, not so much anymore. I haven't played that in a very long time, but that was an early sort of part of this. And they're really good for like taking a break from bigger games, for me anyway. That's my method. Like that's how I've completed basically all of the games that I've started in the past couple of years, especially the sandboxes. Like, I guess in summary, once you start to think you might be getting to start feeling bored of it, forget the fact that it's a sandbox. Do only the essential stuff, and it just like really trims everything down, makes it feel so much more, it really fixes the pacing on a lot of games to focus only on story. It really helps you get more involved, feel more directly involved, relate to the characters more. Yeah, works for me. I mean, if you think this would work for you, let me know. If you don't think this would work for you, let me know. You know, like, I'm sure it's not for everyone. But if you're a completionist, right, but also you know that you're probably not going to finish the game because you'll get bored of it, if you're really that worried about the things you're going to miss out on because you're focusing on the main story, you're not going to get through the main story. Wouldn't you rather, if you could pick one thing to complete in the game, wouldn't it be the narrative? So you can tell people you finished the game. Like, I don't know. It's up to you guys, I guess. But yeah, that's yeah, how I finish games. And okay, bye.